Have you ever listened to a song and just thought, wow, how did they make it sound so good? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the actual technology behind your favorite tracks. It's a whole world of amazing tools, but you'll be surprised at how accessible it all is.
You know that feeling, right? A song comes on and it just sounds massive, super clean, and everything is perfectly in its place. How does that happen? Well, it's not some kind of magic. It's all about technology, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works, piece by piece.
And you know what? The best way to really get it is to just do it. So let's pretend we're music producers for the next few minutes. We're going to start with, well, absolutely nothing, a blank screen, and build a track layer by layer. Along the way, we'll check out the key pieces of tech that make it all possible.
Okay, first things first, where does the music even get made? The old days of needing a gigantic, super extensive recording studio are kind of over. Today, our studio is going to be right here, inside the computer. This is the command center. It's called a digital audio workstation, or for short, everyone just calls it a DAW. Seriously, think of it as your entire recording studio. The microphones, the mixing board, everything, all packed into one piece of software. It's where you record, arrange, and mix the whole song. What's so incredible is that all the power of those huge, expensive studios from back in the day now fits inside a single app on a laptop. This has been a total game changer. It means anyone with a computer can start making music. In fact, a lot of the best DAWs even have free versions you can download and mess around with right now. All right, our digital studio is fired up and ready to go. Now, every great pop song needs a solid foundation, and that almost always starts with the rhythm. So let's build a beat. For this job, we're going to use a drum machine. Now, unlike a human drummer, a drum machine is a machine. It can play a beat with perfect robotic timing and never, ever get tired. That's the secret to that super tight, locked-in groove you hear in so many pop and dance songs. And here's a cool fact. Even though our tools are all modern and digital, some of the most famous sounds are decades old. You know that super deep, booming bass drum in hip-hop that just rattles your bones? Chances are that sound comes from a classic drum machine from the 1980s called the TR-808. Producers are still obsessed with it. So how do we actually tell the drum machine what to play? We use something called a sequencer, which is basically just a grid. It's super simple. You pick a sound, like a kick drum, and you click on the squares in the grid where you want it to play. You build out a little pattern, hit the play button, and boom, you have a beat. It's really that easy to get started. Okay, our beat is locked in. Now we need to add the music. You know, the melody, the bass line, the chords. And to do that, we have to actually create the sounds from scratch. The journey for any electronic sound starts with something called an oscillator. This is the absolute heart of a synthesizer. It doesn't make a fancy sound on its own. It just generates a really basic, raw tone. It does this by creating a vibrating electronic signal. Without that vibration, you get nothing. No sound at all. Now, the oscillator can create different shapes of vibrations, and each shape sounds totally different. For example, a sine wave is really smooth and pure, almost like a flute or a soft whistle. But then you have a square wave, which is way more buzzy and harsh. Think of the sound effects from an old 8-bit video game. Just choosing the wave shape is the very first step in designing your sound. So that raw sound from the oscillator is pretty boring. The next step is to shape it with a filter. A great way to think of a filter is like a sculptor's chisel, but for sound. It lets you carve away parts of the sound to change its tone. You can take something bright and harsh and make it sound warmer and softer, or you can do the opposite. And I guarantee you've heard this a million times. You know that sweeping whoosh sound in a dance track that builds up all the excitement right before the chorus drops? That's almost always just a producer slowly opening up a filter, letting more and more of the bright parts of the sound come through to build up that energy. Okay, so we've got our beat and we've got our melody, but if we listen now, it probably sounds a little flat, a little static, like it's trapped inside the computer. It's time to add that pro-level polish that makes a track feel huge and alive. To do that, we use effects. Let's talk about the two most important ones, reverb and delay. Reverb puts your sound in a room. It's what makes singing in a giant concert hall sound totally different from singing in your closet. And delay? Well, that creates echoes, like if you were shouting into a canyon. These tools make our song sound like it's happening in a real, physical space. But how do we make all these different parts change and evolve so the song doesn't get boring? The secret is automation. This amazing feature lets us program any knob or fader in our studio to move all by itself. We can literally draw in a path for the volume to fade in, or for that filter to sweep open, or for the effects to get more intense. This is what brings a static loop to life.
So there we have it. We've built our track from the ground up. We've got the beat, we've got the melody, and that professional polish. But before we wrap up, let's just zoom out for a second and think about what this all really means for music.
Because at the end of the day, all of this stuff, the DAWs, the synthesizers, the filters, they're just tools. A perfect beat or a really cool sound doesn't automatically make a great song. What actually matters is the human element, the emotion, the story, and the creativity of the artist who's using those tools. And here's a little secret that the pros know. They'll often take their perfectly programmed robotic drum beats, and then they'll intentionally move a few of the drum hits just a tiny bit off the perfect grid. Why would they do that? To add a little bit of human imperfection, a swing that makes the whole beat feel more natural and less like a machine. This technology has totally reshaped how music has been made over the last 40 years. And that, of course, leads to one final, really exciting question. What's next? The next wave of music tech is already starting to happen. We're seeing artificial intelligence that can help write new melodies, virtual reality concerts that let you literally step inside the music, and even new instruments you can control just by moving your body. The tools are always going to change, but that human drive to create and connect, that's constant. And the person who invents the next big thing in music? Who knows? It could easily be you.